Without further ado, let me introduce Mr. Marcus Knight. We're joined by a man who has turned kindness into a movement. Marcus Knight, known as the kindness guru, has spent over a decade partnering with communities, first responders, major organizations, and young people to rebuild something this country desperately needs right now in this humanity, right? And he's the CEO of Hand Up Pay For and the creator of AOK Club, which we're going to learn about. A new high school program designed to make America kind again. His work is recognized in libraries, classrooms, and cities across the country. And now he's here to share the mission behind the next chapter. Welcome, Mr. Knight, the kindness guru. How are you doing this evening?
I am large and in charge. I'm excited to be here. Today is a beautiful day. Any day above ground.
I hear that. And I'm glad that you could be here. You know, I've been excited to talk to you about this program and its purpose. So let's get right into it. What's the moment or a series of moments that has made you realize America's needing a structured kindness movement inside the high school?
I'm blessed and misfortunate at the same time to have two teenagers living at home. So one's 17 and one's 15. And the 17-year-old, again, so proud of him. He's one of the top ranked student test scorers in the state. Matter of fact, as of tomorrow, he's interviewing with Harvard University for a scholarship, as a matter of fact. So very proud of him, right? But at the same time, I asked him a few questions about what's going on in our city, what's going on in our state, much less our country. And after the fourth question, he couldn't answer one. And I'm thinking, with as bright as this kid is, the average kid has no clue. So I'm realizing that his mind is consumed right now with work,
Mm-hmm.
part-time job, girlfriend, homework, girlfriend, and what college I'm going to go to,
Right.
and girlfriend, and there we go. So I did a little more research. And I was wondering how many graduates are there each year in our country, and surprisingly, shockingly, over 4 million seniors graduating within the United States of America every single year.
Wow.
Well, this extended my curiosity to say, out of those, how many of them estimated vote? And as of the last year, 2024, there's 0.6% of those new voters empowered to elect the next leader of the free world, took advantage of that privilege of voting. Because again, initially I did it for my kids, and I was thinking a small community, but after realizing how vast this situation is, or the issue is, collectively and even universally, what I hear people say is this is something that should have been in place 50 years ago, 100 years ago, which there isn't. There's never been a book, a class, a workshop, or anything that was educational and or empowering to educate a young person who is coming of age with the most important power that they will ever have, power to elect. But there's never been anything available to any of our kids ever before this.
So, what about the kindness club that you see could make a difference in the high schools and why that population initially?
Um, I wrote 3 books for elementary school, middle school, and high school. Starting this when they're in elementary school is the best, to start to retrain the mind. The younger, the better, just like any other habit. But unfortunately, that would exclude quite a bit. While we still have those youth in our grasp, before their minds are set in irreversible ways, we can still condition them to think a certain way. We can still give them a revelation of and an awareness of how powerful being kind can be. So it's not too late. It takes more for them to catch on and to make it a habit as opposed to a younger age. We're talking about specifically those who are 16, 17 years old, who are now being able to drive, who are forming the kind of man or woman that they are going to be. We're steering, if you will, just a little bit in a direction by stimulating the mind, neurons, by stimulating curiosity, and results orientated to show how effective and how powerful being kind truly is to the receiver as well as to the giver.
So these activities that you're planning and pushing into the high schools, what do you see that is currently happening right now? Because I know there's a lot of hot topics, whether it's left versus right politics, gender issues, immigration, all those things. How do you, and I know you have books that kind of, deal with those things, but your
Mhm.
club specifically, how do you kind of show how we can have kindness on all these different topics, especially to a population like high schools that are just trying to figure things out?
There's sports club and academic clubs and hobby clubs. This is not a club for everyone. So we're talking about people who have a tinge or a touch of humanitarianism in them to where it matters to them the state of the world, or they're a bit sentimental. Those are the people that when they see something emotional, they probably go, "Oh," as opposed to turning the channel.
Empathize with what they're.
Absolutely. But you know what? This is contagious, though. As far as the club goes, we're talking about an after school, just like all the other ones, where they're going to gather this group. And I'm Coach Knight, the guru. Once a month, we will be going online and we will be talking about kids from everywhere who's adopted this. So at some point, we're talking about from all different states and even outside of the country, as that is a goal, which we'll talk about at another time. But at the same time, you'll have everybody going on from all over, and we'll be asking 5 to 10 of these schools or groups, what did you do this month? What did you do this month? What did you do this month? And we'll share, we'll marvel, we'll praise, we'll claim them, and we will praise them for what they've done. And then we'll exchange thoughts and ideas as well. I'll give you a word of wisdom, if you will, a word of encouragement, if you will, and we'll give a virtual high five and say, good luck. Let's see what happens next month. But in the meantime, once every 2 to 3 months, as I'm teaching them and empowering them with tools and skills of like communication, which has been lost, which has never been well here in the United States, but communication skills amongst their peers, talking to those of different genders and nationalities, those of different statures, business, from business to business, being able to identify a gatekeeper. And so I think in that aspect is going to stretch them to another level that the average kid is not there and capable of. I would like to make a certification at the end of this where the skills that they've learned are transferable to the real world and that would add to any company anywhere. So you're looking at every 2 to 3 months now, pooling the resources that we've gathered together, either through donation or by gifting or even by purchasing from fundraisers we do. We're going to target somebody, either one of their peers, maybe a teacher, administrator, maybe somebody in the neighborhood that they go by. There's this homeless person that everybody steps over all year. There's an orphanage or there's a church, but they will identify and target one person, and we will brainstorm on what to do with them and for them to bless their socks off. And at the end of that 2 to 3 months, and by the way, we're recording the steps all along the way, from the idea to the conception to the application until the day that you see them publicly be the recipient of this blessing. And it will continue cycle to cycle from September of school year into June.
Wow, that sounds great. What would you say are the core values or pillars that every AOK chapter will be built on?
I think important beyond measure for people to understand the meaning of kindness because it's underserved, undervalued, underappreciated, and not taken very seriously.
Mm.
It's taken as such a light and flippant
Oh,
word that is so casual and has no power or I don't want to say value, but it's cute. So when my goal is to uh, demonstrate to the members as well as to those who are observing the power within those four letters. I just did a workshop for the school and we called it having the courage to be kind. Now, this is a situation where we actually looked at kindness from behind the scenes. It's easier to be kind when you're happy and up and when someone's kind and positive towards you. But how difficult is it when you've been wronged or justifiably been wronged, still to have the courage and the strength and wherewithal to show kindness to someone who has intentionally or even accidentally hurt, harmed, or caused you to suffer in some means? How, even historically, let me paint a picture to this classroom and ask you, as a person of color, as this is Black History Month right now, how much kindness does it take to let go of the horror history that we as a people have gone through and suffered from? What does it take? How much courage and strength does it take? Let me tell you, my great grandmother died at 98 years old. Her mother was a slave. The stories I heard and that I know and that I envision are not from the movies. They are from the stories of my great grandmother standing before me, loving me to death, innocent as water, but suffered just because of the color of her skin. How about for me to know I've seen the family of the lineage from the people who've owned her?
mm.
I could give them a hug. I can tell them I'll pray for them. I have no animosity towards them or the race as a whole. How weak is this word, truly? Kind. So the pillars to stand on is first to recognize the true meaning of the word and the power from within, the strength and the power and the wherewithal. And number one message, you cannot give, forgive.
The AOK Club helps students, from my understanding, navigate also the political tension and cultural division that they're going to actually inherit. How do you see the AOK Club, from its own perspective, dealing with that? Because I know you have books that deal with that, but the AOK Club specifically, how do you see it helping in that particular area?
Well, perhaps on that monthly visit, I will make time to go over one of the subjects until we've gone through the book in its entirety so that we can pick apart and even stimulate the curiosity. I know people think the Bible's a really boring read, and when you look at my book, which is pretty thick, it's 320 something pages. But when you dive into one of those issues or one of those subjects and you begin to pick it apart and realize how relational it is to you, how relevant it is to you, how relevant it's been to your parents and what they've been going through, and the fact that if something doesn't change, not only will it affect you, it'll affect your children. You're going to inherit this, and so are your kids, unless something changes. When you can see the horrific standing that our country is truly in, and as you use the word inherited, that they're going to inherit unless something happens. And truly, my generation, it is what it is. But the next generation has hope. much less the one after that. So they need to be empowered. And worst case scenario, they're going to be empowered with at least the knowledge. They won't be able to say, I didn't know.
So you said something. I saw you on another interview. You said something to some people about you don't want to tell them what to think. You want to show them how to think. How does the AOK Club teach critical thinking through kindness? Is that an actual goal?
I am proclaimed apolitical and areligious, where I refuse to take a side. This book has been deemed as a political science book, but it has been looked at and or audited by members of both parties to discover that it has no bias. It only states the facts. The objective of that book, specifically Make America Kind Again, is to talk about world issues, both national and international, that we're facing over the next 4 years. So that's important to know as well. This first edition is for the current administration to say the state of our country and the relationships within our country and its allies and its our adversary as well. What is it? How did it get there? Why is it there? And what is the state? And at the end of that term, I would like every 4 years to make another edition to show the improvement or not, but the state of that scenario out of the course of the 4 years. I wanted to show the state of the country, but also the growth and change, fulfillment of promises. We need to see it measured out plainly. This is where it was, this is what happened during this time, and this is where it is, so that the new administration would not be blamed as well. So when you look at the state of the country in the next edition, this is what they're inheriting, as opposed to what happens is we get a new election and the person taking over is blamed for the mess behind. And that's not the case.
Right. But if I could take you back to the kindness spot in terms of like critical thinking, right? When we know that these topics we're talking about are so dividing, right? How do you see the challenge of getting them to look at both sides? What is the process of, if I may ask, if working with children, especially they're like attention deficit is like like this, to be able to actually sit down with them and say, okay, hey, I want you to look at this issue, like for example, gender. Okay, let's take that as an example, right? We got policies that are happening right now that they're trying to put through the Supreme Court, and kids can actually play sport if they're female or change their body, configurations or whatever. How do you have a conversation like that with kids and try to stay neutral as a challenge?
Because that book and those issues are reserved for the high school age. So just to make that clear, I think it needs to be addressed at a younger age now, not in detail as it would to a high schooler. With that being the case, with everything within Making America Kind Again, I've taken the opportunity of what it is. What is the organization? Who are they? Specifically with transgender. Who are they? What are they trying to accomplish? What have they done? And where are they trying to go? And then to explain the impact. Now, the opposition to that particular thing is really about the impact on a community. Those who are for and those who are against, those who feel invaded, those who, just like any other race or nationality, who feel put down or less than, that they're separated and segregated. So it's to put forth all of those issues, those answers. Where they come, what do they want? Questions.
Yeah, so I think what you're trying to say is that you're providing both sides all the facts of both sides without taking a position personally on it. And because the whole goal is you don't want them to quickly take a side, you want them to understand the other side and why there's a conflict, right?
Right.
They make their decision.
It would be explaining why is somebody angry
Yeah.
about transgenders and them coming to school,
Plain.
these things, and why is somebody angry about they used to be a boy and now they're changed to a girl and they're playing a girl sport,
Right.
but they have the strength. It's the facts, and now they can take a position and say, "What do you think?"
Mhm.
Now that you know both sides and exactly what's going on, what do you think? And just for another point to what you're saying about even my personal preference or beliefs, casting those aside, as you've read within the book, my opinion is not an issue. I have sourced all the information that I've gotten from here, and I've stated, okay, left, white. So this is why they believe that. And this is some of the situations that brought them to that. You have all the information. It's up to you. What do you believe most? And in most cases, almost every scenario, there's no one has been righteous. There's both parties have done some shady and or wavery or some head scratching situations, scenarios, and things. It's when I go, what if I were to go to vote, it would be comically to say, which one of these do you like least or has done the least crazy, as opposed to
I guess trying to find kindness in all of that. Is it just you're teaching the kids how to be kind by showing empathy or showing curiosity with what should would be your opposition, possibly very strongly? But you want to encourage the kids, even though you believe in something very strongly on this side, to be very curious on why the other peoples don't. And there's where there's kindness in that, because we can all just be quick to take a position and not care about what the other person thinks and how anything affects them. But taking a step back and say, okay, look, I know I feel the way I do. Let me learn about why they feel the way they do. Is that where you're trying to bring kindness back? Starting to see where we've kind of lost grip as a country, where people just don't care about what anybody feels, what they think.
Mm.
They take a strong position and they don't care to even hear. Is that kind of you're going?
the ultimate example and demonstration of kindness is to say, regardless of a person's stance or position or opinion, I will respect them. They are a part of my race, one race, the human race. And there's no one should be treated less than human. There's no one's opinions, thoughts, or ideas, concepts of who they are, want to be, or otherwise, that another man, another human being has the right to deny them or say that they're wrong.
I hear that. So let me ask you this. If 4 million senior graduates every year, what would happen if even just a small fraction of them became intentionally kindness leaders in these clubs?
The part of being kind is being responsible. So that percentage would be stepping up, empowered with that, the magnitude of how amazing it is to cast a vote. And if you were to look at, and I looked at this too, if you were to look at some of the elections here, some of our local elections for city councilmen, aldermen, just a few of them, I saw in some cases people won their elections by 100 and some odd votes, 400 and some odd votes. There was no landslides. It was countable. It was reasonable. Like, whoop, in so many of these scenarios where if a small percentage would have been informed, not even including those who did vote just because of who their family or friends or whatever. They too there's still a great percentage that are not knowledgeable about really what's going on. And if they're counting on the media or social media, it depends on who you're listening to which side you're going to get. The book and the course is going to level the playing field in so many ways to where, yes, they're going to be forced to think and make decisions and not follow. We're creating leaders, just as you said, not followers. These are the leaders that are going to be setting the pace for the next generation.
Cool. So, what partnerships like local businesses, libraries, first responders will schools be able to tap into through this program?
I've been blessed to work. When I come in, I've actually been able to partner with community affairs, with the police department, and that's pretty much in any state as long as I give them time. The fire department, they also have a community advocate. Most stations do. I've worked with Big Brother, Big Sister. I work with the Rotary Club and Association, Salvation Army, churches and clergy that I'm a part of, being that I'm a chaplain, community relations for Worldwide Chaplains Federation. So I'm blessed that it's set up that, because I'm traveling with this message, to be able to call ahead and work with those entities in their state and to set up some other things besides coming in just to speak. Let's get out into the community and let's do something together. That's the most fun part of what I do. And that's the most rewarding part, that those who join me find satisfaction.
What does it mean to you that your work is now considered living history? Because I know that Making America Kind Again was audited for political bias and still inducted into the public libraries system and as a political science book, from my understanding, correct?
Right.
What does that mean for you as it being considered as a living history?
Again, this is right now, when you're listening, whoever's watching this, it may not be February anymore, but right now we're in February, which is Black History Month. And it was just pointed out to me that as a man of color, I've made history. A living history book is so unique because any book that you were to go to a library or research that's historical is about the past. So this book is not about past history. It's about the history we're living in right now. And that expiration is, even though it'll be the end of a term, most of what's in there will still be living. It'll be updated with a new next edition. So to say, when I turned it into the library for examination and to be indoctrinated, we were calling it a living history book or a current history book. But when we tried to get that name, it was denied because there would only be one book in that entire section, because there is no other book written about current living history. So even though it's classified as political science book, it is still the only living history book in the world in existence. And this Black History Month, again, made me appreciate that even more, knowing that my legacy is leaving such a mark on the planet.
So, if every single high school in America adopted the AOK Club, what kind of country do you believe we would become?
Kindness is a mindset. And so it's not something that you have to try to do or you force yourself to do or you make time to do. It's a way of living. It's seeing someone who has their arms full and just rising to the occasion to open the door for them. It's seeing someone in need, and in most cases, the need is so small that would take a fraction of mostly just time, no money, just a helping hand. But it's a frame of mind of thinking. And again, starting at a young age, if they begin to do that and they feel the value And the reward, the inner reward and strength, that is the beginning of changing the direction of a generation. So, but again, most adults, people say you're stuck in your ways. I don't believe that, but it is more difficult to change habits the older you get. You mentioned high school specifically. The reason why high school is also so important is because of the big brothers and sisters. Because if we can catch them before they're considered just adults out there independently on their own, they're still at an age that they can reach back. It's just got to be ingrained in them, the fact that they're being watched by that next generation, that they're doing what you do, or they're not doing what you don't do. They're implementing things subliminally and non-subliminally, emulating your habits, your traits, and so forth and so on. So if you are saying please and thank you, guess what? They will say it too. If you are saying yes, ma'am, sir, and that's not for everybody, because I know some ladies will snap if you call them a man. I'm not a man, but just those core values, if you instituted those as the younger, what kind of a teenager would that toddler grow into? What kind of a young adult would that teenager grow to? What kind of a man, what kind of a woman or lady would that adult be by the influence of just being kind and making it a lifestyle? I can't even imagine.
Okay. Well, I want to ask you this question. If you were to be able to sit down with a plethora of school administrators who are on the fence about bringing in this AOK club, what would you say and why?
When I did a little tour this summer of libraries, and I was fortunate to have some packed houses, and I was nervous initially to be able to see change within a matter of minutes. The proof is in the pudding. And most people truly get it if they're a parent. We loved our kids too much. And what do I mean by that? When they're born, you're all and you want to save the world and give them the world and do everything. And as they get older, now they're 6 months, now they're a year, everything is cute. And even the poop, they poop, oh, that's cute. Though after age 1, it's not cute no more. Okay. And by age 2, it's like you're a young adult. Okay. So the cuteness is gone. But here's the thing. We as parents, we get so much fulfillment from being mom or dad, from buying those shoes they wanted, or getting that outfit that looks so good, and making them smile on Christmas morning. And selfishly, we eat it up until, again, parents, terrible 2s, terrible 3s. That's when they begin to form their own identity. This is facts. So at that point, you can take them to the store. You want ice cream? Sure, I want ice cream. Your favorites are with sprinkles. You want sprinkles? Yes. And you give them that cone, and they're just off the chain, lit up. And then you go, can I have some? And they go, no, mine. Why is that? It's because we spent so much time selfishly over and over showing them how to appreciate receiving. We never gave them anything about the joy of giving. We kept it all. And now they have no knowledge or understanding of it.
I hear you.
We loved them too much.
Wow. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So it sounds like the AOK club is teaching about giving, kindness, empathy, all the things that we see lacking right now in our world. And I really commend you for moving forward with this. I know you live and breathe kindness as the kindness guru, all the things you do, donating to people, helping people in the world. So it just makes sense that you would lead the charge. I want to make sure that people know where they could get this information if they're interested in connecting with you to learn about this opportunity.
Right.
Also, the books as well. We didn't really talk much about, but can you kind of share how people can get access to you on in the AOK Club? Is there a website?
Sure.
Stuff up after too in the vid, so people can go right to it after.
So I'm signed with Amazon Publishing. So if you go to Amazon, you put in my name, Marcus H. Knight, then all of my books will come up. They have 24, 48-hour deliveries. Aside from there, on some of the social media, like TikTok, if you look at my profile, there's a link and you'll actually see quite a few of some of the endeavors and things that we've been able to do as far as the books go. And maybe we can put at the bottom of this, like I said, as far as a link to the website.
Yeah,
And there's a separate link as well for the AOK Club. Now, I just want to encourage, my dream, what I see, of course, I'm starting locally, but I'm surrounded. I've got the 5 boroughs. And then I've got Westchester County, which is another 12 cities. And New Jersey's right next door, Pennsylvania. I've got so much around me. But at the same time, our platforms and social media and our media is across the world. I'm appealing to the United States. I've been able to go to Texas. I've been able to go to Chicago and to other states and sprinkle some of this. But I look forward to going online once a month and seeing kids from all over the country, which, by the way, you asked me before about partnerships. My Brother's Keeper have partnered with me, and they're a national organization. And hopefully before the end of this year, right now we're going into about from 5 to 9 high schools here locally. But that's one of the vehicles that I'm hopeful can extend into other cities and or other states, so that when we go online, I can say, where are you from? I'm from Kansas. I'm from Tennessee. I'm from Las Vegas. I'm from Omaha.
right.
And they're all kids from across the country who have a mindset to say, I have the courage to be kind. Because truly, it does take courage, because it's not cool. Normally, the kind kids get picked on and not respected. So the courage to be kind has more value. But I'm telling you, through this program, I believe 1,000% it will be cool to be kind.
So how can people who are interested support, donate, or help bring the AOK Club to the community? Is that again, go to your site and that's where they can get the information, or?
Yes, and Donatus Knight, there's a online, as far as like Cash App and so forth, there's ways of doing it as well. Hand Up Paid Forward also has a donation, but that is the charity organization as opposed to the AOK. The AOK is basically being able to utilize those funds to give back. And as opposed to the charity, that it doesn't do the active kindness actions. That's more so for the local. So I just want to encourage those people who are in education. There's not a day that goes by that I don't see on the news or on the media or somewhere the fact of the need for something. There's something missing. And I believe that not only does this impact the kid and or the kids who are going through this program, it infects between the relationship within the teachers, their peers, and their community. That's where I want to take it to as well. I don't just want to impact the school when you go to school. When you go home, I want the parents to go, what's going on? And then when they're reaching out and connecting to the local fire department, police department, or maybe they could target the postman. Say, I want to bless our postman. Who knows where this will extend to, but it will not stay within the confines of the walls of the school. It will impact the community as a whole. And small pockets of community, at some point will play a part within the city and within the state and so on. So that's my big dream.
All right. Well, hey, I want to say thank you for stopping through and sharing this great opportunity for our children. And, I'm proud of the work that you're doing. And I'm definitely want to stay in touch and see how you progress through this. If there's anything we can do to support and get out the word, come back and let us know. You can find this show on YouTube and watch this full interview there. We'll put his links at the bottom of this video so you can reach out to him directly. Marcus Knight, the kindness guru. I want to remind everyone that kindness isn't soft, it's a strategy, like he said. Okay. It's leadership. It's one thing every generation can choose. No matter the chaos around we see, kindness is always a remedy. This kindness club seems to be a blueprint for rebuilding the country from the inside out, starting with our young people first. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and every educator, parent, and student watching, movements don't grow because someone had a good idea. They grow because people decide to carry it forward. If you believe our schools, our communities, and our country deserve more compassion, more connection, more humanity, then this is your invitation. Let's support this work he's doing. Let's amplify it. And let's join Marcus Knight, the kindness guru, in making America kind again, one intentional act at a time.